Steenhuisen, just to look at some of the notes that have been taken throughout that speech. Our senior reporter Natasha Piri says, well, according to the information she received, is that Mr. Steenhuisen won this election by a whopping 80%. Huge numbers, if that is what is confirmed. And one of the things that, as you heard, that the new leader is speaking about, saying, I love my party, I love my country, and that is why he began politics in the first place. But obviously, he's already looking forward to taking over not only the metros that they've lost. You heard him speak about Tshwane, which the DA has just recently taken back. But he says we must go on the warpath and unleash the firepower of the Democratic Alliance and regain metros such as in Johannesburg as well as PE, and that we do not want any coalitions basically in these, that we must be outright leaders in these metros, basically campaigning already, saying to people and the delegates, go out, speak to your family and friends, tell them to get ready to go out and vote for the DA next year. Let's now go to our political analyst, Levy Ndou, who joins us via Zoom. Levi, thank you very much for joining us on SABC News. What do you make of that outcome? Were you expecting it? Is this something that a lot of the analysts, such as yourself, kind of thought it should be John Steenhuisen? Were you expecting that, sir?
Good afternoon, Tavi. So good afternoon to the viewers at home. Quite expected. Not with the margin that Natasha has actually alluded to. But if you look at the race from the beginning, even though they had sufficient time to campaign and to talk to a number of their constituencies, Steenhuisen always had an advantage over Mbali Ntuli because of a number of reasons. One reason is that Steenhuisen has been exposed to national politics for some time. He has been the chief whip of the Democratic Alliance in Parliament, and was also given an opportunity to run the Democratic Alliance after Maimane left the party. And that actually gave him a much better edge over Mbali Ntuli. Another factor as well is that he represents part of the traditional support base of the Democratic Alliance, which, in my own view, the Democratic Alliance has been quite worried about. And indeed, if you have got a leader in Steenhuisen's caliber, it is possible to still gain the support of the traditional support base. But also at the same time, he has a much bigger responsibility as well to convince those people that wanted to leave the Democratic Alliance based on the reasons that have been provided by Maimane and Herman Mashaba when they left the Democratic Alliance. And I think part of the project that the Democratic Alliance has to focus on is to go and alert those that think that they might be convinced by the departure of the other leaders from the Democratic Alliance. But not taking anything away from Mbali Ntuli, I think she fought a very good battle. She was able to convince a greater portion of the members of the Democratic Alliance and those outside the party to know that the Democratic Alliance has young and capable leaders who can still stand to lead the party. And I hope she can still be involved in the activities of the Democratic Alliance and still do the good work that she has been doing in the past.
Just quickly, Ms. Levi, I'm going to open up a message, of course, that came in from Mbali Ntuli, where she congratulated John Steenhuisen, saying, congratulations, John Steenhuisen, who has been elected as the new federal leader. So proud of the DA today. Now we get to the real work of making sure SA is a prosperous country for us all. It comes back, Mr. Ndou, to points that are made at the top of the program when I spoke of this Congress being for the soul of the Democratic Alliance. And you touched on something interesting now. John Steenhuisen, some would say representing the old guard, if I can put it that way. Mbali Ntuli, some saying maybe we do need a change in our politics. Maybe this 33-year-old is the way to go. Maybe if we look at how maybe other political parties, young political parties like the economic freedom fighters, they've come about and have had new young leaders, and they've been able to appeal to that vote. The demographics of the country say there are a lot of young voters, and that is what Mbali Ntuli stood for.
I think when we start with the message by Mbali Ntuli to John, for me, I see an element of political maturity from Mbali Ntuli to be the first to congratulate John Steenhuisen and still indicate a commitment to the activities of the party. And on the basis of maturity, I don't expect to see Mbali Ntuli now not wanting to participate actively in the activities of the party, because that is where elements of factionalism and anger would actually brew. But I expect her to continuously serve the Democratic Alliance as a loyal and disciplined member of the Democratic Alliance. But also, there is a trend now in South African politics of bringing in young people. And I think if we had Mbali having taken over, it was actually going to confirm that indeed young people have got a very bright future in South African politics. But unfortunately, that could not happen. But also, if you look at the politics of the Democratic Alliance, she can still have a chance to come back and still make a huge difference in the activities of the Democratic Alliance and South Africa in general.
Whilst we wait for our team out in KZN, in fact, I'm not quite sure whether it's in KZN, but we might get to speak to Mbali Ntuli, just to double check, or in fact, her message after the outcome of that race. But before I carry on, Mr. Ndou, I'd like to say, well, unfortunately, we've run out of time for our sister channel on SABC2, so goodbye to you. The conversation does continue, though, right here on SABC News channel. Mr. Ndou, let's continue the conversation, as it were. Now, John Steenhuisen, as you rightfully said, has just taken over the leadership of the Democratic Alliance. Where does he start? We hear him speak of all the plans. We hear that he's right now looking at galvanizing the base, get the people out to vote at the upcoming elections next year. Before we get to the big ones, does he have time to galvanize that base in particular? Because a lot of people, in particular the viewers, or some of the viewers anyway, that called in during the program this morning, most of them touted a new leader, new blood for the Democratic Alliance in Mbali Ntuli. Can John Steenhuisen bring back the party to actually make a good running for elections, both locally and nationally?
I think John has got an exposure in the runnings of the Democratic Alliance, has been in the party for the past 22 years. But also, John has been an interim leader of the Democratic Alliance for almost a year. He has got a better understanding of the ins and outs within the Democratic Alliance. One of the challenges that John and his team are supposed to focus on are issues that relate to infighting and squabbles within the party. And this is one of the issues that the Democratic Alliance has always been cautioning its membership about. And just before the start of the Congress, Steenhuisen himself was saying that it is not necessary for members of the Democratic Alliance to be fighting amongst themselves whilst they actually have got bigger issues to deal with that must save South Africans. Another aspect that they need to look at very seriously is to ensure that the Democratic Alliance has to convince the black constituency to support, to become members of the Democratic Alliance. Because the statements that were made by some senior leaders who left the Democratic Alliance paints a picture that the Democratic Alliance has got some right-wing elements within it. And that is one area that would expect the leadership of the Democratic Alliance to go out to the public, prove that statement to be wrong, so that they are able to attract the black voters and members within the party. And another area for me that the Democratic Alliance has to look at is the matter that relates to party discipline. There has been some few members of the Democratic Alliance who would behave in a manner that would one would perceive to be unacceptable, and also mainly amongst the leaders and the rank and file within the Democratic Alliance. We've seen that in the social media space, where some leaders of the Democratic Alliance would then have to account for the statements or the posts that they've actually made. But another area also would be the concern that has been raised that relates to leaks to the media about the internal activities of the Democratic Alliance. And that will actually require the leadership under Steenhuisen to deal with those issues before a number of other issues. But in the main, his message today was to accept the position of being the leader of the DA, but also launching the strategy for the next local government elections, because part of his speech today was focusing on taking over power by the Democratic Alliance in the next local government elections.
Well, Levi, 88.6% of the delegates voted at this Congress, and you mentioned something possibly important there. You mentioned that John Steenhuisen will have to deal with the question of demographics within the party, in particular that black vote. And a lot of the leaders, as you said, in particular, we all know Mmusi Maimane, just one of the big names, Lindiwe Mazibuko, some of them have just left the party, citing the internal lack of transformation, for lack of a better word, in this federal council that was announced. There's James Masangu, who is the second, deputy federal chairperson of the federal council, as well as Refilwe Ntseke, who's the first deputy federal chairperson. Only two black African leaders in this federal council. Are a lot of black South Africans looking at that and saying, same. Why should I vote for them when we're not really in the demographics of the party?
I think it's important to look at the background and the history of the party. That the party, when it started, it was predominantly white. And the party took a decision to say, because we want to represent all South Africans, it's important to stretch our feathers and also attract black people within the party. And the Democratic Alliance has successfully been able to do so. What is important is that when you invite other people to join a party or to join an organization, you're actually not saying that they should actually come and take over the party, because the party has got its own background, the party has got its own roots. You also do not want people to come and join the party and immediately now they occupy senior positions, because the possibility is that the party might actually lose direction. You also need people who have got the much better understanding of the party, have the background of the party, to be always there in order also to accommodate new members that are also coming in. The race factor has always been an issue in the Democratic Alliance. And I think what the DA would not want to be drawn into is to say we've voted people on the basis of race. And I don't think that is what delegates in the Democratic Alliance Congress voted for. They voted for people that they think are capable and who think that they might then take the party forward. But the question you are raising also becomes relevant, especially to new members who have just been recruited, black, who have just been recruited into the party, will say, what about us? Why is it that the party seems to be only being led by white people? But that is one area that I indicated earlier on, that the leadership of the Democratic Alliance should be able to go articulate their standpoint as a party, and provide sufficient reasons why everybody has to come in and join the party. But quite interesting, in the speech by Steenhuisen, he made an emphasis that the Democratic Alliance is a party that is aspiring and that wants to move with the people side by side. And he did not mention any particular race. And for me, I assume that is referring to everybody, irrespective of race. He said, we want to move with everybody, give people opportunities, ensure that people get jobs, they get quality education, and also free of corruption. So as a party for all South Africans, the DA has a simple responsibility. Go out, make the Democratic Alliance attractive, attract all people across all races, and that is the bigger challenge that the leadership has now. And if there are other issues that might be seen to be hindering the progress of the Democratic Alliance, they are lucky enough because they went to a policy conference and everything that they do is supposed to be based on their policies and also ensuring that the party grows day by day.
One would say easier said than done when there's still a polarizing, if I can call it that, individual within the DA in the name of Helen Zille, chairperson of Federal Council. She's in the party. How will John Steenhuisen manage that one in terms of his leadership, and Helen Zille, who's a lot of people saying are the ones who are no, apologies, Mr. Ndou. I'm going to have to stop that point right now, that question. I'm being told that Mbali Ntuli is actually live right now. Let's listen into Mbali Ntuli and we'll continue with the conversation after this, Levy Ndou. Stay with us.
To be as innovative and as creative as possible, and I think that possibly the voters just decided on very individualistic merits. But either way, I think that democracy has been the winner today, and I'm so incredibly proud of the party and the work that we've done. I'm proud of my campaign team. I'm proud of the campaign that we ran. I think it was a first for both the party and South Africans. So,
Where from here are you going to support the Steenhuisen in giving him a shoulder in running the DA?
Of course, he is now our leader, and we will all get behind him and we will support him in any endeavor that he wants to do in terms of trying to get the party to make South Africa a prosperous place. I think that that is the democratic outcome, and we're all Democrats here. We're not fighting. It was a contestation of ideas, and I'm very proud that KZN is also a winner in this particular race because we're both from this province. So I hope that we'll be focusing a lot more also on trying to talk about KZN issues.
The next conference will be coming, definitely. What will you be again challenging this position?
Oh, that's 3 years from now. It's very difficult to say. Who knows? Maybe John will not even need a contest at that particular place. So it'll be far too early to say that right now.
You're still very young and you've led the DA, the structure of the DA. Are you going to be, we know that there is a provincial conference of the DA coming up in KZN. There are some people who say that you are a good leader as you have an experience in the DA. Do you think that you may challenge that or contest that during the conference?
No, I think that KZN has so many incredible leaders, and I really think that we should be allowing them to all take that space. And so I look forward to supporting and campaigning for whoever is going to be running for KZN leader that I believe has the merits to take us forward.
Thank you very much, Mbali Ntuli.
Yeah,
thanks. That was Mbali Ntuli who was giving the contest to Steenhuisen, the newly elected leader of the Democratic Alliance. Back to you in studio.
There is our report there, Bongani Gama, giving us that report. I think that came a couple of seconds ago, right here to our studios in Auckland Park. Let's bring back Mr. Ndou. Levy Ndou, thank you very much for staying with us. Let's continue the conversation. We've just heard from Mbali. Unfortunately, we got just the end of that feed. I'm going to ask our producers and our director, maybe we can probably get the top of it. Maybe there's something that we missed in that. But let's continue there. You spoke about Mbali's maturity, political maturity. We heard what she just said there. Now, is it a case of a strong front? Is she hurting inside? Or do you think, as you heard for yourself, she has grown and it's all for the best for the party?
Tabiso, Mbali Ntuli is a normal human being. She has invested a lot in this campaign. Obviously, she might be hurt inside, but also at the same time, democracy teaches us that there has to be a winner and a loser. Mbali grew up within the Democratic Alliance. If she has been in the DA for 14 years and she's only 32, it means she joined the party at a very, very young age. You do not want, as the DA, to lose people of a caliber on the basis of the fact that they do not have other political home. The only political home that she knows is the Democratic Alliance. And she has a very much deeper understanding of the political dynamics of the DA in the KwaZulu-Natal province. You need such kind of leaders to continue in the party. And also, as she has said by herself, that she's going to continue supporting John Steenhuisen, even though they were contesting. So you have a leader who's coming up very clearly and very quickly, immediately after the announcement that I'm going to remain in the party. I support the leader that has been elected, and this is part of a democratic process. That is a clear indication of a political maturity and commitment to the party. What needs to be seen now is to ensure that she is given sufficient space to continue running the activities in the provincial legislature and continue to build the support structures of the Democratic Alliance as she has been doing. And indeed, I think I need to congratulate her for the bold step that she has taken, standing firstly to become a leader and also coming out very clearly and say, I support Steenhuisen, and this is part of the democratic system.
We just heard as well at the back of that interview, Levi, when she says she will not be running for any leadership positions within the province, that of course being KZN. Where do you think, as a political analyst, where would we put her in as far as Democratic Alliance politics now?
No, well, I think the question might have come much earlier. I had her saying that anything can happen in the next 3 years. The DA has lost a lot of senior leaders, especially black leaders. And it will not be good for the Democratic Alliance to lose another leader. Age is still on her side. She understands the activities of the Democratic Alliance very, very well, especially in the KwaZulu-Natal province. If she is not given a responsibility, or if she is not being elected back into the Democratic Alliance, that can indeed be a very big blow to the Democratic Alliance and to herself. She has no other political home except in the Democratic Alliance. And I know, my feeling is that those that are in the Democratic Alliance will find a way to ensure that she is still being used in the activities of the Democratic Alliance. And when conferences come at a provincial level, she still has a huge role to play in building the Democratic Alliance in the KwaZulu-Natal province.
Levy Ndou, political analyst, I think we have to say thank you, sir, for staying with us. Thank you for your insights indeed. Great pleasure speaking to you as we wrap up, well, the DA Congress, where, of course, John Steenhuisen has been elected the new leader of that party. Thank you very much, there, political analyst Levy Ndou. Let's take a quick break right here on SA Today. When we come back, we